Hey, this is Stephen Amell, and you are listening to Tomorrow's Legends, the podcast. Don't fail your city.
In 2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this Wonder Twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as Tomorrow's Legends.
Hey, Gideon?
Yes, Captain.
What's going on? I feel really dizzy. Can't see straight. Am I dreaming?
You're not dreaming, but you're not awake.
What? Well, where am I?
You're actually in the med bay, unconscious.
Is that why I'm feeling dizzy? Did I get hit on the head or something?
Negative, Captain.
Alright, well, I can't just lay here. I gotta get to the podcast. Gideon, wake me up.
We should talk about this before proceeding.
There's no time, Gideon. Just wake me up.
Right away, Captain.
Flash, you're awake.
Yeah, I didn't know I fell asleep.
Asleep? You've been knocked out for days.
Days? That's impossible. Although I just talked to Gideon, she said I was unconscious. I just assumed you hit me with the darn hammer again.
No, but maybe I should have. We're late on the podcast.
Right, the podcast. I told Gideon I had to get to it, but she didn't think it was a good idea. Now, why would she think that? Gideon?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Thanks a lot, Gideon.
And now, here are your hosts, the Scarlet Speedster himself, the Flash, the Maid of Mischief Harley Quinn, and the Blue Beacon of Hope, X-Force 11.
Oh, having a conversation with a bunch of pre-recordings. It is tough to act alongside, pre-recordings. But welcome to yesterday's Legends, where I feel like we've done this before, guys. I feel like I'm going to say we're here to cover Season 3 of Legends, Episode 11 and 12. And then I'm going to announce myself. I am the Flash. But everyone knows that already, so why am I saying this again?
I mean, I'm Harley Quinn.
And I've got ABBA's greatest hits playing because Mamma Mia, here I go again, traveling in time. I'm X-Force 11.
See, and I knew you were going to sing X-Force. I just had this feeling.
Hello, Legends.
Oh, there we go. All right, we are here to cover some good episodes on Season 3 of Legends as we go continuing down our rewatch trip down memory lane. We are part of the Cybercast Network, covering some of your favorite superhero topics and other stuff. Of course, you got us doing Tomorrow's Legends here, and you've got Dive into DC with Silver Vox and Green Butterfly, covering all things DC. Go check them out if you haven't yet. And then you got the Mandalore podcast, which covers all the Disney Plus Star Wars shows, which has absolutely nothing going on right now because there is no Star Wars. But we've got one that we're working on. I have sequestered Vizsla to go back in time with me, and we're going to rate and organize all of the shows thus far that we've covered. So Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, Clone Wars, all of them, Mandalorian, Andor. We're going to put them all in order and list, kind of do like a favorites list of why we think each one is where it's at in the list. And yeah, just something to do. So check that out if you're interested. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with the list that we come up with.
I'm sure they're both going to be very different. Are you guys each doing a list?
Yes.
So you'll see how they differ, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
that's always fun.
Yeah.
I always like to see how people differ.
Yeah.
Because it depends on, I mean, if the three of us did a top, like, re-rated Legends. I think we've done this where we've ranked the seasons. I think we did that in our
we did do that in our big finale. Yeah.
And our big finale, and we were all different, and it was really interesting to see where we agreed, where we disagreed, and why. So I always think those are fun. So I'll definitely listen to that.
Yeah,
cool.
Definitely.
I'll let you guys. Probably in the next week or so, we'll get it done. So
Cool.
There you go. That is the Cybercast Network. Let's get to some news, because we actually got news. Like, in this down period, we've got some news, and it's not the best.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
Yes. All I've got to say is
Wah, wah. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some bad news. So Perry White put it in the Facebook group, reported by the Hollywood Reporter, stating the Nexstar back broadcast network, that's the CW, on Thursday announced that the upcoming fourth season of DC Comics drama from executive producer Greg Berlanti will be its final run. The 10-episode final season, starring Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch, will air sometime in 2024. Brad Swartz, the president of entertainment at the CW, said, "We are grateful for the years of hard work and grateful storytelling from the show's writers, producers, actors, and crew, as well as our terrific partners at Warner Brothers Television, Berlanti Productions. As Superman embarks on his final flight, the team is leaving us with an absolutely epic 10-episode must-watch every minute farewell to one of the most legendary CW families ever." And notice that they said sometime in 2024 because the premiere date has not been determined because of the ongoing actors' strike. So they were saying maybe into April, but we don't know until the actors come off strike. So we don't know when it's actually going to be in 2024.
So before we all go off on this news, they haven't even began filming, right?
No. So the writers are working, but
They came to an agreement.
yeah, they're working. So now that they know that this is kind of the final season, they have the opportunity to make it work well. But no filming has started yet. So
okay, who wants to go first?
Sad. It just makes me sad. This show is so good. It is good. It deserved more.
mhm.
I'm sad that James Gunn killed everything.
I think it's the wrong time. It's the whole CW shakeup, the Discovery Warner Max merger, all happening at the same time. It's just bad. I mentioned on my TikTok that they're leaving us with nothing really live action anymore. The only thing that is kind of, I like the fact that this reality really started with Smallville and it's finishing with Superman and Lois. So you're kind of bookending with the superheroes. I'm just unhappy that it's bookending this way. I mean, I love the series. I love the relationships and how well this is written. Just everything about it. And I'm just disappointed that we're not getting several more seasons because I just love it. And, it's one of those ones I look forward to podcasting on. And I'm generally happy to be covering every episode, even that if it's kind of, up and down, but I'm enjoying that. And I'm glad that they know and they can work on that 10 episode final run, but I'm just not happy that we're not getting it moved over. But it's just hard. It really is, because I think Tyler and Bitsy have done a great job inhabiting those roles, and this show shows a series where Superman and Lois are in a time frame that we've never seen in live action before. And so I don't understand. I really don't.
It's almost like they don't see what they have here. And I wonder, because we had said earlier when we were waiting for season 4 to get announced, we had shared the news that James Gunn and all they all said, we love Superman and Lois. Don't worry about the show. It's coming back. And we thought, okay, that's good news. That's good news. So why hasn't that carried forward? Why haven't they looked at that and said, let's just, it's an alternate world, it's an alternate timeline or storyline. We can continue telling these stories. But it seems like power has gone to their heads. They're like, no, complete cold slate. I want my legend of Superman to be the only Superman, and that's all there's going to be. I'm going to rewrite everything because I'm now in charge, and that's it. Cut everything off, and that's what makes me angry, because what they've shown us so far hasn't been that good. Like Blue Beetle, not my opinion anyway, not that good, and that's kind of the start of his universe. And the casting that they've done for the new characters, I'm not really impressed with it. Like, I don't know what they're going to look like when they're in costume and playing the parts, but what I see of those actors, I'm like, not really looking forward to that. Like, I'm just tired of the reboots. I'm tired of everything restarting again and again. They're kind of following the comic books. I mean, how many times has DC Comics rebooted themselves and started their stories over? And why do we have to have that in our entertainment, in our TV and movies as well? Like, quit restarting everything. We barely got to know Henry as Superman, and you already pulled the plug on him. We're just getting to love Wonder Woman, and you're pulling the plug on her. And who knows what's happening with Jason Momoa and Aquaman? I think he's done now too, and the second movie hasn't even come out yet. Like, you never let these characters sink in and find their footing, because it's been a mess from the get-go, and now you want to start all over again. And I mean, Superman Lois is the best show the CW has had. I always put Arrow up there. Arrow was the one that started it all, and I loved Arrow so much. But if I really take an honest step backwards and look at start to finish, Superman and Lois has had the better writing, the better acting, the better stories, the better grounded in reality. This is a family dealing with life that just happens to have superpowers in it. And it's so good. And it's just been getting better and better. And Tyler Hoechlin, especially for me, has done his job as Superman and Clark so well that he is now my choice for Superman and Clark Kent. He covers both roles better than anybody else has. Yes, Christopher Reeve is classic, but Tyler Hoechlin has just taken it and pushed it through to the next level, and it really sucks. So I am not happy about this news at all. What I wonder, I've got one silver lining. One silver lining is if the actors are on strike and the writers are back to work, the writers have a lot of time to write the perfect 10 episodes they can possibly write for us to finish the show off. So that's a silver lining. Is there a chance that this show could be picked up by someone else, or does DC and Warner Brothers own everything so bad, so deeply that nobody else could take this show and say, hey, you know what? I want to throw some money. Let's keep this show going. Like they did with Magnum PI. Magnum PI got picked up by another network to continue it for another season. Can that happen with the show, or is it no way in hell?
Personally, I think the movie universe is killing it like they always do, because DC is, we know that they're very, very weird. For whatever reason, the only character that has ever made it through was Grant Gustin as the Flash, and the Flash is over now, so that kind of doesn't really matter anymore.
You mean when Ezra popped in? When Ezra Miller's Flash popped in?
Well, but yes and no,
playing
but,
the movie version.
Yeah, so like the movie version, whatever you say about, like Ezra, whatever. But his version was allowed to live while Grant Gustin's was allowed to live. They didn't kill the Flash TV show. That was the only one that ever made it through, because there was a lull in Superman movies, and so then the CW brought in Superman, but that's why Batman was never brought in on the CW. It was always Batwoman. And then that was the same reason, I think, that Green Lantern never came in, right? Or was there... I know they like teased that, and then there was like, it just got like a little bit wonky, I think.
Well, it's like the big three. They're untouchable in the TV universe, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then so when they did Superman, and then there, that was when there was all the drama and everything with Henry Cavill was up in the air, and just everything with the DC universe and how they were doing Superman was just very up in the air for so long, and so we kind of skated through. But now it seems like now that James Gunn wants to reboot everything and have his version of Superman, that our version of Superman is getting killed. That's just metaphorically. That's just how it reads to me. I don't know if that's factually correct, but they do have a history of doing that. So,
yeah.
They killed off Amanda Waller in Arrow for that reason, because she was on the big screen. They didn't want her character to live on, so they killed her.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
I think if it was going to move any place, it would have moved to Max,
Right.
which would have been smart because right now you're in a lull of stuff, DC TV on Max, because Doom Patrol's done, Titans is done. Those are the two live action ones. I mean, you've got Peacemaker, but they're kind of on a break. But so I don't know.
I think had it not been Superman and Lois, this show would have lived on. But I think because it's Superman, then that's why, which is a shame because it had more to give, I think. But,
well, I mean, they just introduced Lex, so we're going to get 10 episodes of Lex Luthor, but that's Superman lore through and through. He deserves, once he's introduced, he should continue on for the next 3-4 seasons.
Yeah, and I think he would have had they been given a fair chance. But
and again, the question comes in: how are they going to end the show? Like 4 seasons in, how do you end it when it's not ready to end? I don't know. I'm worried about them squeezing too much in, that it's going to be overloaded. Because we're only getting 10 episodes. Yeah. But I'm hoping the writers got all this time in the world right now, and they can get it perfect. But it just, I don't know. There's so much bitterness right now towards James Gunn that I just have a feeling he's going to launch all this stuff and it's not going to be successful, because they've tried it again and again and it just keeps failing. Like, DC needs to just take a break, pull back for a little while, and come back later. But I see what they're doing. They see that Marvel is now struggling as well, and they think that they can come in and save the day and be the superhero universe that everybody wants to go see. But I think the world over is a little bit tired of superheroes right now, because the Marvel's last 3 or 4 things, they haven't even passed 400 million in ticket sales. Like, everything superhero related is kind of falling off. People are losing interest because it's just been too much. I know we haven't, because we podcast about it all the time, but just in general, like the amount of money and the amount of attention that's going towards it. I mean, early previews of the Marvels, the movie that's coming out next week, Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel Part 2, it's getting hammered. People are like, is this what has happened to Marvel? This is what Marvel has come to? Not good. So the early reviews are not good for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's a shame. I am going to see that one, but
yeah,
that's a shame.
Of course.
I really liked Miss Marvel. I think I'm in the minority, but I really liked that show.
The first one, Captain, or the TV show Miss Marvel?
Both.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Captain
movie,
Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I was in the minority, and I really liked Miss Marvel, the TV show. And then I think I'm also in the minority. But
no, Captain Marvel did well. I think it was pretty good.
Yeah,
I think it did.
That was good.
But anyway, DC. I don't know. I guess it's a wait and see. We will wait and see what James Gunn brings us. But I'm not excited about it because of this news on Superman. Like, you're taking something that is stellar, and you're giving us something brand new that nobody has any connection to. It's just not a smart play at all. Not a smart play. But in light of the bad news, let's keep our fingers crossed, because X-Force has a series coming along that we are hopeful is going to get greenlit. The Green Lantern series. If that comes to fruition, we have no idea when. We definitely are going to cover that. We already talked about that one. That's one we definitely want to sink our fingers into. And then there's word of a Wonder Woman prequel series, and I never heard about this, X-Force. Do you have any news about that one? Is there anything?
We talked about it a while back. It's called Themyscira. When we did a crossover episode with Dive into DC. But yeah, it's basically looking at a time way back in the past. So
not Wonder Woman at all, then?
No, it would be before that, but it's telling those type of stories. And I think that could be interesting. I'm reading the current Wonder Woman storyline, and it's dealing with other characters and different things like that. So it should be quite interesting, I think, to kind of look at it. Like I said, again, a time period that we haven't really dealt on because they were hidden from society, so it should be interesting. So
even just, I mean, I've always loved the look of the Themyscira, like this lost hidden paradise. It's beautiful. I mean, I would spend every week watching that show just to see what it looks like. So that one's on our radar too, guys. So keep those two in your minds. Then we'll let you know as we find out more. And don't forget, when we're at the end of this rewatch, we've got a new show that we'll be covering in the new year that has nothing to do with DC or the CW. So there'll be that. All right, guys, should we get to something fun? That was enough bad news. I know we lead into this spectacular coverage tonight with bad news, but we got something fun to get into, right?
Indeed.
Let's get into episode 11 called Here I Go Again.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
All right, X-Force, kick us off with your rating.
All right, I gave this one 9.5 cargo bay violin solos. So every sci-fi show does a time loop episode, and they range from silly to deadly serious. But this one holds a special place in my heart because Zari gets to see the unveiled souls of all of her crewmates, and you see her fall in love with them all. And even though they don't get to know her in that same way as she knows them, the bonding was great. Plus, it shows her strength, her compassion, and drive in ways that have been hinted at all this season. And this episode was a way for her to fully join the team, and it did it in a way that helped every member of the team move forward. And so I just loved it. It was a great episode, and I have fun watching it every time I see it.
Definitely.
I mean, I agree. I also gave this one 9.5 lessons learned the hard way. Honestly, part of me was wondering if this episode could hold up. And wow, it holds up. It really holds up. It had been my favorite episode in the entire series until the 100th episode, which I have not rewatched. But I still hold that one higher, but this easily holds the number 2 spot for me. I mean, easily. This episode, it was layered yet self-contained. It was brilliantly written and executed, and it jumped the story ahead light years, all within a single episode. I mean, the team of writers this season, they did an absolutely phenomenal job with this episode. It's lived up to my initial impression all these years later, which has shocked me, to be quite honest. The speech that Zari gives, it still brings me to tears. It was just excellent writing, excellent acting from Tala. She carries this entire episode, and she does it flawlessly.
Some high praise, guys. High praise, and I do not disagree at all. I'm right there behind you guys. But I am taking this one into the record books, giving this one 100 out of 10. Perfect Legends episode. For me, hands down, the single greatest episode of Legends in its entire run. Episode 100 is right behind it, so I agree with you there, Harley. The only bit that bothered me was the ending. After all the greatness that we get to have, you have to go and change course and show us Wally and Rip. I'm sorry, but who gives a damn about those two useless characters after what we just saw? Give us 5 more minutes with Zari and the team. That's all I'd ask for. That's the only gripe I would have about this episode, because that just is like a slap to the face. But I tell you, this episode nailed everything down in sheer perfection. The writing, the dialogue, the performances, the humor, the story, the team-ups. It had it all, and it was beautiful. I have never enjoyed an episode of Legends more than this one. It tops any list for Legends for me. There you go. Let's get into it and start talking about it, because, man, we all loved it.
Gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe.
All right, I'm going to be flying by the seat of my pants because I did not have enough time to add my notes, but I got the tablet here, so away we go.
Good news. Good news. I also got to the note first, so I will be running point here.
Yeah.
All right. So when we start off, we're starting the episode off here. The team is just getting back from, I question this. Is it 2 different missions? Because to me, it looked like Rory went to Waterloo while everyone else was in the 70s. So correct me if I'm wrong, but since when did they let McRory go solo?
That's a really good question. I don't remember if we talked about that the first time we covered this. I don't know if we picked up on that. I don't know that we
caught it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Unless,
Yeah.
like, are we making the mistake though? Did he actually go to Waterloo, or are we talking about the ABBA song Waterloo? Because he was talking about that song being stuck in his head.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
I would have loved to seen the ABBA mission. And come on, Mick, don't diss the music. But
yeah.
I think this was a 2-pronged mission because you had most of the team going to the 70s and dealing with ABBA. And you had Mick going to Waterloo. So evidently there was something happening. Like the anachronism was like the 8-track tape of something. And so it was like a 2-part thing. So they had to do something at Waterloo that changed the song Waterloo. I think I think it was like a 2-pronged deal. So like they let him go to the battle because they knew like he wasn't going to be much use with the singing and the choreography and all that kind of stuff. So that was my thought, that it was a 2-pronged deal, that they had to do 2 things at the same time.
That's right, because there was some line of dialogue in there that they mentioned about why would you write a song about some little French guy from the war, blah blah blah. Like there was some little snarky line about that they were questioning. So that would make sense that the music changed for some reason, and they had to go back in time to figure out why Napoleon was no longer at Waterloo or whatever it may have been. So that does make some sense, but either way, Rory had one of the songs stuck in his head.
Yeah.
And I wish we had gotten some ABBA soundtrack to this episode, but they probably couldn't afford it.
No, probably not.
No, we only get the very, very little bit of "Here I Go Again."
Yeah. Exactly, the rock and roll. But I do have to say, like, I love the outfits, the disco outfits, when they all came on board. Again, this is our team. No matter what, they seem to fit into the time period you're in, and I'm going to say it again, especially Sara. She walks out of there and she looks like a 70s chick, like she was there in the air. But you know what she looked like? And I don't remember if I ever said this, but she could easily play Dazzler from the X-Men.
Yes.
She looks exactly like Dazzler. It's crazy.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know who Dazzler is,
yep.
I'll throw a picture up on the Facebook page if I can remember, but Google Dazzler. It's crazy. So yeah, but the outfits are just, I mean, Ray looked ridiculous and Nate looked silly, but the women, they looked perfect. It's exactly how they were back then. It's so funny.
That's true. Nate didn't look that bad, but Ray did look ridiculous.
Yeah. The whole neck scarf and everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Very 70s, but very ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Nate, him and Amaya had clearly rekindled something, which I did not remember. I couldn't remember if they even ever got back together. So this episode, and we're going to table this discussion until the next one as well, but more on Nate and Amaya. They rekindled their relationship temporarily.
Yeah.
Well, I think they were just enjoying the funner aspects of the relationship.
There we
go. Yeah.
That's a very nice way to put that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last thing that I have to note about this opening scene before we jump into Zari, because she carries the whole rest of the episode, really,
pretty much.
is Ray. He's terrible on the spot. He's trying to come up with like all these excuses, and he can't get there. He's a terrible liar.
Yeah, no poker face at all. So
no, and because he doesn't like to lie, and he doesn't like to mislead people, so he just struggles every time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that set the stage. So we are now going to dive into the meat of the story with Zari, and we'll have some other things sprinkled about some of the other characters. I pulled some stuff out periodically, but we're going to spend a lot of time on Zari here for a minute as we should, because this is our Zari episode.
Yes.
Yay!
Did you guys see the
so-
post I put in Facebook for today about asking for feedback? Did you see the picture I put in there?
I didn't know.
Oh, check it out. It's pretty cool. I posted a picture of her and I said, everybody send in feedback for this awesome episode. And it's one of my favorite shots of her.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, this is the episode that I have really been looking forward to revisiting. It's one of my all-time favorites. And it's just the perfect Zari episode. She's still such a rebel in the beginning. She's insisting she isn't part of a team. She doesn't really take orders. She still has her own agenda, and we get to watch her grow.
Yeah.
And you know,
I
honestly, sorry, Jeff, I honestly took this second time through, I had to agree with Sara. Like, Zari was being a little bit annoying in this moment. And I agreed with Sara shutting her down. I have to say, as much as we love Zari, that moment was not a good moment for her.
Yeah. Well, these are not the moments of Zari that we tend to remember because they moved past them quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she thinks she can hack history like she's done a couple times so far. And it still breaks her heart that her family's lost, honestly. But I appreciate that she has the guts to try and fix things. Granted, yeah, I agree with Sara that, that can cause a lot of trouble. But I like the way that she goes about it. She basically wants to holodeck things and see what will work and what won't. And, she shows her backbone. She stands up to Sara, but, it's just one of those things where we see those key parts of her character and she, things will change with her. But I always like that she's got that steel and, she's not going to, back down. She will change, but she's not going to give up. She's going to be that strong character. And we kind of see the beginning of her being a part of the team. But yeah, she's still in that mode of, well, I change things with Helen. Maybe I can change something, but she's not going to do it haphazardly. She's going to try to figure it out. So I appreciate, how she was going to go about it.
Well, I mean, just the idea of a history hacker, that's a friggin' cool idea. I mean, that has this show written all over it. Time travel and fixing history, but figuring out how to hack history and make things better without screwing things up. I mean, you could build a show just on that, and Zari could lead it. And you don't need a whole team of characters. It's just her hacking history. I mean, I would watch it. It's a perfect concept.
That's funny. That would be kind of fun, though. All right. Well, out of this episode, I think one of the things that I really, really love is that they showcase Zari and Nate collaborating and working together. And I really liked this pairing. And I like the choice that they chose that he's the only one who believed in her, because it seemed like believable yet genuine. Because the only other person that would probably also have given her the benefit of the doubt probably would have been Ray, but we expect it from Ray. And so I think the only person more unexpected would have been Rory. But I really love that they kind of did it with Nate. I thought it was a fun collaboration, a fun friendship. And she totally lights up when he says that. He's like, of course I will. You're my friend. And she's like, really?
We're friends?
She's so used to being alone. It's sad, but nice. So.
And it's exactly for what you just said why I love that scene. You'll like my favorite clip then, because it's based on what you were just talking about. It's the start of them building their friendship, which is what Zari needed. I mean, this whole episode was about, like you guys said in your opening, it's all about her building the friendships with the team. As much as they may not remember everything she learned, it still started her relationships with each character. And that's what we've talked about with Zari so many times already. She really is the only member of the team that befriended every other member, and she has a special connection, a special way of talking to every other member of the team, and they all seem to come to her. They all seem to confide in her when they're hanging out, and there's just something magical about Zari, and this episode just kind of starts all of that. I mean, even her relationship with Sara, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, just all these little things. But her and Nate talking about the history hacking. Nate's the historian, so it makes sense that he's going to be the one that kind of helps her through this, and it brings in his nerdiness, his love of movies and everything, which is what I love, and the fact that he knows Groundhog Day so well that he can help her through this. It's just, I mean, the writing, everything about this episode is so well done. It's just fun. Perfect fun.
Yeah. And I love that first time she calls it Hedgehog Day instead of Groundhog Day.
One of my favorite things. I love that. It's Hedgehog Day. What?
Yeah. But, I just love the two of them running through all the conspiracy theories of like what it could be. And again, like Martin, you said, of the two of them, he's this history guy. He's going to run through, he's going to think about things in a way, looking at it linearly and how things affect, and the two of them running through it together was a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun.
So much fun.
It was so much fun. And you know what I had forgotten? I had forgotten all of the ways that Nate dies, just so they can ultimately discover the secret about Mick Rory, the fact that he's an author and he's secretly writing a novel. Like, I loved all of that. I remembered the one scene, like, where they both get shot with, like, the ink and they have, like, blue all over their face. I remembered that. I had completely forgotten all the other things leading up to that moment. I was like, oh, wow. I did not remember that they killed him off 10 times before they even got to that moment.
The foot trap, the electrical shock, it was just hilarious.
There were several things.
I mean, Rory's deadly serious about keeping his secret.
Totally.
And you don't mess with Mick Rory.
Deadly serious is the perfect way.
It just made me laugh. And I like how she kind of, like, she's starting to get to the end of her rope and Nate's like, oh, well, just have fun. And so they do this whole, like, fun montage and just, it was fun. I just really enjoyed watching them enjoy themselves. I know that sounds really silly, but the fun montage was very fun.
We didn't see it coming, and we didn't see that moment. Like, we're caught up in this hacking, and she's going through a time loop, and I can't tell anybody. Nobody believes me, and I keep dying. I keep blowing up the ship, and then they switch into this fun moment, and it just transitions so nicely. And I think this was the moment when we all fell in love with Zari, because we saw the things that she started doing and just messing with everybody's stuff and doing things that she shouldn't do and she's not supposed to do. She's like, the hell with it. I'm going to die in an hour anyway. And this was the moment for me where you just like, I love this character. She's so fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. Like her hitting Mick with the snowballs, in the galley, that was a blast. And she teaches herself violin instead of piano, like in Groundhog Day. But that's, it's, if you got an hour at a time, teach yourself violin.
Well, they chose violin because I think she really plays the violin. Yeah, which I seem to remember from our original coverage of it. Yeah, I know. I love that. It was so cool.
It was so cool. That's everything about it. And that's why this is my episode, is my favorite one, because of everything that we're going to keep talking about. It just, and like you said, Tala Ash, her performance, her acting, whether she's being snarky, whether she's being funny, whether she's being serious, whether she breaks down and cries. She hits so many levels of different emotions in this episode. It's a standout performance for her, for Tala Ash, the actress. Like, she delivers everything. And I think that's also part of why she won all of us over, because we're watching this going, holy crap, like, none of the actors have given us this before. This is insane what she's doing. Like, give the woman an Emmy right there for that.
Yeah, I mean, especially like her cue card scene.
Yes.
Where she's like cue carding the Ray and Mick scene where she's dropping whatever they say, and then that look on her face, ship goes boom. It's just like, what?
That's the picture I posted in the Facebook page.
Nice. Oh, I did see that. Okay. Yep, that's where I saw that. Okay, I was like, I've seen this picture somewhere. Where have I seen it other than watching this episode? That's where I saw it. I love that. Confused looks. Yeah. Ship goes boom.
Yeah.
So good.
That truly is my favorite scene in the whole episode, but because the audio version of it doesn't play well because she's not saying anything, that's why I didn't choose to use it. But that is truly my favorite moment of the whole episode. I laughed harder, I think, this time than I even did the first time watching it. It is priceless.
It's a really great scene. Really great scene.
But to bring something up here, I didn't know where else to insert this, but the initial explosion that she causes is a freaky moment because you're sitting there just, what just happened? We're genuinely shocked that she pulled something out and it caused a chain reaction and the ship blows up, and then the camera pulls away to the time stream and you see the wave rider blow up, and you're just sitting going, and I think it cuts to commercial break at that moment originally, and you're like, what just happened? And then even the second time, before we really realize a whole time loop and everything is going on, like before all the silliness ensues, the second time she's I gotta fix it, and it blows up again, and it still catches you off guard. Like we just killed everybody again. Like this episode brought every element that they wanted us to feel: the thrill and the humor and the fear. Whatever scene it was that was trying to deploy that emotion, it gets it bang on. It nailed what they wanted us to feel.
Yeah. I seem to remember being shocked by that scene initially. Yeah. Because you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. And I think it was earlier when we were talking about, I also love the mixing. I love when he wants to use the flasher on himself to flash himself so he forgets the song.
Oh, I have that coming up. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Cool. But
that's in Amaya's section.
Oh, in the Amaya section. It was just a funny Mick moment. And I just love that he's walking around in his head-to-toe pajamas with the bum flap. Like, come on.
I mean, he had to be period accurate for Napoleon. He has to do laundry,
so
he's just rocking that costume for a minute.
Yeah. So funny.
I agree. Very funny. All right. Well, through all of this fun stuff, we did not go scene by scene because, wow, that would have been way too much.
Oh, man.
But in the end, the team comes together. Yay! Yay, Team Legends.
Yeah.
I 100% forgot they used Gary as the stowaway. Like, I remembered once I saw him, but I forgot that it was coming, if that makes sense. And so I like that that's kind of like the whole device that ends up getting the team to work together and then ultimately gets Zari to commit to the team and, bring, instill her as a full member. So.
Yeah, because we couldn't figure it out at that time at all. Like the fact that Gideon introduces Gary at the end, that completely took us all like, what? That's the reason? Holy crap. Like none of us figured it out. Because you are trying to think about it. What is causing this? What is the origin point of this time loop starting? And none of us guessed Gary. Nobody figured that out at all because he wasn't in it. He wasn't in this episode to give us a hint.
Exactly.
Yeah. I remembered that that he was stuck in the trash, and so I was like, okay, when does that come in? Okay. Very end. It's like one chance to avoid death in 5 minutes because his mechanism gets smashed.
Yes.
By Mick.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
At one point I forgot to throw in when you were talking about that montage, I love the lighthearted music that was playing throughout it too. It was just fun. It was just fun music to just heighten the joy of what was going on.
Yeah. Oh no, it definitely was. And then, this sort of brings us to the end. We're not going to talk about this too in depth. I did just want to mention, like, as we wrap up her story, her speech at the end is amazing.
Oh my God.
That'll be coming back in. And she finally gets the team. She understands how she fits in. And here we go. She's doing it all for them and not for herself. So she's finally learned her lesson.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, this is my favorite scene, and we'll talk about it more later. So, yeah, it's great.
Well, it solidifies her character in the team. It solidifies the character for us as the viewers, why she's here. It solidifies the actress, how good she is, and that she belongs on the show, and she's bringing something to this cast that we maybe didn't have yet. I mean, just it was such a defining moment for Zari, this speech at the end, and for her to have learned as much as she did in 42 minutes. The evolution of the Zari character is crazy. Like that was almost a season's worth of evolution that she went through in one episode. It's, again, the writers, like, give them an award too. Like
it's a really impressive episode on many levels.
Yeah.
Like, really, it is.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention too, it was a couple episodes ago, I was complaining like when she used the totem and flew away. And I said, that's the only time she ever does it. She flew again in this episode when her and Ray shrink down. She's following him, and you could see her spinning legs behind her as she's flying through. I was like, oh my God, I forgot she flew again. That might be the last time.
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe. Just one final point I had here. They used this towards the end of the episode, and I really love that they're kind of using mixed novel, which is essentially Zari's story. And so we get this quote at the end while he's trying to figure out what to write, and he says, "He lost his planet, but he found his home." And I thought that was a particularly great bit of writing because it's absolutely Zari's story. Because, I mean, she didn't lose her planet, but she lost her family, she lost her time period, she lost her life in 2022. And then she found her home with the Legends. And so I really loved that.
Yeah. You know, I liked Mick having a hobby as a novelist because it was just so different, and it gave him something to do other than be the curmudgeon on board the ship. So it got a little thin later on, but it was definitely fun and unexpected because you wouldn't suspect, like, you know, here's this gruff and, you know, whatever guy, and he's writing bodice stripper novels.
It's definitely a great layer for McRory.
Well, while we're talking about that, I mean, I've got the perfect segue to finish talking about this.
Darteus set on the horizon, her heaving bosom undulated like the soothing waves of the bay. Buck swept her into his musky embrace.
Mick's writing a sci-fi romance novel.
Yeah.
Well, that's the last thing I thought I'd see before I die.
Oh, funny you should say that.
There you go. Bonus sound clips. I thought I had one of Mick's lines in here somewhere. I can't find. I thought I had one of his when he's actually reading the one you just talked about when he reads the last
The one
lines.
I talked about.
Yeah, I thought I had that in here, but I'll see if I can find it.
Well, if you end up finding it, you can play it randomly because it's so great. But
yeah.
Buck wrapped his glistening biceps around his busty alien queen. He had lost his planet, but found his home. Not bad.
we're gonna wrap up Zari proper, but there's some honorable mentions throughout this story. So first, I want to talk a little bit about Amaya. As Flash has already alluded to, here we go. There it is, the moment with the Flasher. So Amaya gets the idea from Rory to use the Flasher and erase her memory.
What's up with her?
Right now, she's thinking a little short term. She's thinking
Acute entropic dementia.
Her innate, and not about all the knowledge that she's learned about her history or her future. But I have to assume that she will eventually get there, and that clearly someone is going to wipe her mind. Is the only way she'll be able to go back in time and fulfill her destiny. And we know that she does.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have completely derailed a lot of things in history. So I'm excited to get that reveal because it's one that I really don't remember, but I have to think this is the only way that she can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had remembered that they were back together and that, you know, she had to go back to Symbese. And I, at that time I'm like, is it written in stone that, we never talk about, who her husband was? Why couldn't it be Nate and, things like that? But then, we get her, realizing that she's got to forget. So,
yep.
I had forgotten how much the totem story really comes into play. It starts in this episode, but it's really in the next episode that we're going to get into. But it's interesting that because we've been kind of wondering about it up to this point. Like it doesn't seem to fit in with the storyline they're going with this season. And now at this point in the season, halfway through, they seem to really switch gears and make this the focus of the storyline, and this is kind of just the beginnings of it. So it's interesting about the flashing and using that. I mean, is it a convenience tool? Do we think it's too convenient to have this flashing device to make everyone forget stuff? Maybe, but I think the writers really found a good way to use it and it not be gimmicky. So.
I agree.
Yeah.
It feels organic to the story and integral to the story and the way that the legends do their missions, and not the other way around, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I say we talk about Avalance for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I had forgotten that we get so much information in this episode that really just like propels their story along as well as Zari's very quickly. It was just really such an interesting narrative device to really move things along. I mean, it's kind of a bottle episode, but they get to advance so much with the story. I mean, not only Zari's character development, this whole relationship's development. I mean, we got glimpses into things that normally in shows they would take like 2, 3, 4 episodes to develop. And so I really kind of liked what this episode did.
Yeah. It was really cool to see Sara confide in Ava about Zari and to look to her for advice, because Sarah's at her wit's end with Zari and she needs perspective. And Ava's going to be that one that can give her perspective because she's been in that type of role with people under her and being the leader. But their conversation is sweet. I just really appreciated those moments of them kind of talking shop and starting to see that grow into something more.
And what's funny, like this, I could basically fill my tablet with scenes to play from this episode, because so many of these scenes were so good that they're easily playable moments for our favorite scenes, and this would be one of them. Where it surprises me, because I think probably a lot of us at this point, when we see Sara start to open up to Ava about Zari, thinking about the Sara that we know and what just happened between her and Zari, we probably expected that Sara was just going to rant and bitch and complain about Zari and be like that. But instead, she says, I just don't know what to do. Zari is awesome. She's important to the team. I need to figure out how to get through to her and to help her. And it just completely took me back. I did not expect that from Sara. And it just gave Sara so much growth as the leader of this show and the captain of our team. And it really, like you said, even though it's a bottle episode, even Sara got to really take a huge leap forward as the leader of this team. And I just love that moment, because I don't think any of us expected her to take Zari's side and be like, I just want to help her. She's important to me. I never saw that coming from Sara.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a really good point. I don't think anybody did. It was not what anybody expected, including Zari. So
yeah,
it was a really great scene.
Yeah. Yeah. That moment will come around. Don't worry.
Yes. Okay. Well, at the end of this scene, poor Ava. She totally puts herself out there. And Sara hedges. I mean, it's kind of adorable. It's also kind of hard to watch at the same time, even though I know they get a happy ending. But I'm just like, just get there. Go on. Come on. I want them to rush, but they don't. It's well done. It's very well done.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun because, Ray was like, yeah, the captain knows how to finish. But the deal is, Sara wants and needs more than just a fling. And honestly, I think it scares her because she doesn't want to mess it up with Ava. And I think that's, again, we're seeing her growth as a character of, like, she's, been this kind of free spirit and doing whatever, but she knows that she's kind of ready for something more and she doesn't want to mess it up. And so just seeing her not want to mess it up, and so pushing back a little bit or just hedging, like you said, was just kind of sweet to see. So that she wants to make sure it works.
Well, and I think to go along with what you're saying, S-Force, is that I think this moment, this episode, she realized she wants more. I don't think up to this point she knew that she was looking for a relationship. I think Ava coming into her life and the changes that are happening between the two of them, hating each other and being like rivals, and the way it's switching and both of them kind of coming together at the same time, I think that opened her eyes and it opened her heart to start to realize, I think I'm done sleeping my way through history. I'm ready for something serious, and Ava's the one, and Ava's the one that's going to give me that. And because of all that, it scares her because she doesn't know anything else. She only knows fooling around and being so free and doing whatever the heck she wants. And I think being at the Flash's wedding, and I think doing, like, all these things have matured her a little bit, and she's starting to think about her own life and applying these things to herself. And it just really gives Sara a new path in life that she wants to take, and I love that we get to see that, and I love that they didn't rush it. I love that this developed a little bit. I mean, we're 11 episodes in, and it took that long for this to finally happen. And like you said, just like the moment at the end, the happy ending at the end when they're kind of arguing, and then Ava just grabs her and they start kissing. I mean, it's such a good moment that, and we've all talked about in the show, that the Ava-Sara relationship is the best relationship this show has done.
It is.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing with these two.
Very well done.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to something even more exciting, which we didn't think was possible in this episode. But then Gideon appears.
I know.
I loved this. This reveal is just so good. It was so well done. I love the touch that they had Amy actually be there, because it makes these scenes so much better, so much more impactful. I mean, could you imagine her doing this with just like AI Gideon, just like a floating voice or like a floating head?
Not the same impact.
It would have been awful. I think the decision to pull in Amy and have her there was genius, and it makes the scenes.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so amazing to see her in the flesh for the role that she played here. And it just, I remember, it just made us want more live action Gideon.
Yes.
I think I specifically remember Flash saying, give us more live action Gideon back in the day.
4 seasons later.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I love the fact that Gideon knows the team so well. It's just everything that we have seen, we're finding out was like this, part of this construct. And, not every, honestly, Mick didn't have all those booby traps, but she knows the team so well that she can put things in there so that it feels real. And, she's not afraid to share those things in order to help Zari move on and to be a better and a better person and a part of the team. So I just loved it.
Again, everything about these moments are perfect. That's why this episode is perfect. I mean, how many people, guys and girls, crushed on Gideon when she starts making her appearance. I mean, she's a beautiful woman with that British accent. It's amazing. But Amy Pemberton's performance is also brilliant. She is lovable and just the perfect actress to play this part, and that's why we wanted her to be live action a lot more, because of what she delivers when we do get her. But what I really liked about these moments, like you were saying, Jess, the fact that she comes in flesh seals the deal, makes these scenes impactful where we wouldn't have gotten that feeling if it was just the AI head floating around or just the voice in the hallways. It's because up to this point, Zari has become the new mechanic on the ship, the one that, like the engineer, though. She's the one that's constantly helping Gideon, constantly tweaking her, constantly fixing her, trying to make her systems run better. So in a way, her and Gideon have developed a much more closer, intimate relationship between the two of them because of Zari working on her so much. So it just makes sense for Gideon to show up to her in the flesh and present herself and be a friend and say, look, I am doing this to help you. I'm here for you. I understand you and the team, and I'm going to help you get through this. This is what you needed, because I don't want to lose you. I've gone through all the scenarios over and over and over again, and there's only this one that works out the way it needs to work out, and this is why I'm doing this. And Zari, it's just showing Zari, like the moment with Nate, that she also has a friend in Gideon, and that gets through to her. That hits her hard. And it's why these scenes, like, I'm getting watery-eyed just talking about it, because it's emotional for me to watch this stuff, and I love it so much. And again, Amy and Tala Ash, they're just brilliant. Like, this show has probably the greatest cast of female actresses I have seen out of every show that I watch. To get, like, there's shows that I love where there's one female actress that I just love, but to get Legends and all of the actors, you get Katie and you get Tala and you get the actress playing Nora, and now you get Amy Pemberton. This show is loaded with top tier actresses, and we are so lucky. We are so lucky to have this right now, and to be able to go back and revisit it. It's just a beautiful thing. And there's a moment coming up with Gideon and Zari. Don't worry.
It is very well done. Now, one thing I noticed in their conversation, so it's a very deep conversation, but I was wondering if they possibly foreshadowed the end of season 4 here, because Gideon admits to Zari that in order to change 2042, she has to work with the Legends. So she kind of, in a way, admits that it's possible for Zari to change her future. What she doesn't necessarily state that we will come to see play out over season 4 is that if that happens, this version of Zari completely goes away.
Again,
I found that was very interesting.
Yeah.
That comes into question, like, how far ahead have our writers been looking?
Yeah.
Because we've brought this up a few times now. We're in this rewatch, we're like, wait a second, does that mean this 3 seasons later? Like, how far ahead did our writer team plan this show out?
Or when they were in the moment, did they have enough hindsight to look back and weave the moments back in? Either way, it's very well done.
Well done.
Yeah.
Regardless.
I think this rewatch is making me appreciate our show so much, because it's been a long time since we did our rewatch for season 2. A long time, because Jeff wasn't even with us when we did our rewatch, so it's been a long time, and having this big of a time gap away, I'm really appreciating how good a show we had in the beginning, despite where it went, and maybe we should revisit season 4 and 5 later, but I just these first 3 seasons I'm really, really appreciating.
Yeah, no, I am too. I think the rewatch it's been good.
Yeah,
I've had enough time to get a better perspective, and we know how the series ends, even though it ends on a cliffhanger, but we do kind of know where it goes, so
yeah,
that helps too.
Yep.
All right, well, this is your least favorite part of the episode, but I just wanted to bring up the tag with Wally because I totally forgot he does join the Legends for a hot minute, so here he is.
So the way I explained it in my opening monologue, how do you guys feel? Like, this moment, did it need to be at the end of this episode? They could have just introduced him at the beginning of the next one, right? Like, why did they have to cut to this? I don't know.
I think within the canon and the way that all of the shows were playing out at the same time, I think because of what happened on Flash, they needed to maybe show us this, give us a little tease, make it so that it didn't feel so out of place when he shows up in the next episode, is kind of how I read it. I mean, I truly read it as like a tag on the episode, which tags don't always necessarily have exactly to do with the plot. It's kind of like, it's almost like something totally separate. It's part of the story, so it's not a total surprise, but it's not related to necessarily what you just watched. So that's kind of how I read that.
Did you guys care though? Like,
I forgot the scene even existed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh right, I remember this now. Yeah, that's my reaction. Like, that's it.
It was weird. It was just weird. Wally's sitting in Tibet or whatever the heck he is, meditating, and he's got that stupid little man bun top knot thing on his head. Like, oh my gosh, like it was bad. It was just a bad moment. Let's take that and get into some good moments. Let's go to our favorite scenes, because we got some fun stuff. I pulled out all the stops for our
see that.
top 1 or top 2 favorite episodes of all of Legends. Where is it for you, Jeff? You haven't said. Is this in your top 2 favorite episodes of Legends? Where does it sit?
Probably. Yeah. Okay. I think this probably be number 1 and episode 100 behind it.
Yeah.
And the only reason is because if they had had everybody back truly in episode 100, it would have been different. But yeah, so it's right up there.
Yeah, I think
100. What it means for Gideon. She's finally part of the team. That's
I
why
know.
100 stays in my top. It's why.
You know what? It's like a close race where one keeps taking the lead over the other. That's where it feels like for me. It's like, because I bet you if I watch episode 100 after we're done here, I'll probably go, oh yeah, this is my favorite, and then I'm going to watch with Patty Spivot. I want her to watch the Zari episode again, and I'm going to go, oh yeah, this one's my favorite. That's what it's going to be.
I maintain.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get to our favorite scenes of this one, because it is so spectacular. Let's do that.
Shape out an eagle!
And I got this littered with a few. So my official favorite scene out of this one is stuff that we guys talked about. It's when Zari first goes to Nate about Groundhog Day, and I just love it because it's such a funny scene between them, and it's really solidifying the new bonds Zari is creating with the team, but especially with Nate here. This is the beginning of their friendship and their relationship, and I love that moment. So we're gonna kick it off with that one.
Nate.
Amaya and I were just, working on our harmonies in case we have to impersonate.
Yeah, whatever. I have something to tell you. Hedgehog Day. Damn it, you told me if I said Hedgehog Day, you would know what I was talking about.
Do you mean Groundhog Day? Why would I tell you to tell me about a Bill Murray movie?
I don't know. All I know is I'm stuck in this time loop.
Like Groundhog Day. Okay, got it. Okay.
You do? And you'll help me figure out what's going on?
Yeah, that's what friends are for.
We're friends?
Of course. So lay it on me. What's happening? All right, how about instead of trying to stop this ship from exploding, we all get on the jump ship and escape?
Yeah, while you guys were out, I was running my own little side mission, which crashed Gideon. With her down, the jump ship's locked into the docking bay.
So we need to talk to Sara.
No, I already tried. She never listens to me, probably too pissed off. You know, thinking about the vibration pattern of the blast, I don't think we were attacked from the outside. The explosion was caused by someone on the ship.
I seriously doubt anybody would blow up this ship on purpose. So where do we start?
I mean, you've all been acting a little suspicious since you got back from the mission.
Whoa. Mick doing laundry. Now that's suspicious.
Very.
I had to play it all out because of the music going through, but oh man,
yeah,
it's just so much fun. That's all I can say.
It's great. Yeah. It's great.
All right, Harley, you're next.
All right. I called this one The Cause and Effect of Groundhog Day and Surprising Discoveries.
So you're saying Rory and Amaya are in the clear?
Which is why we're going to go visit Ray. He's been acting twitchy.
Well, let's go spy on my best friend.
Oh, wow, that's boring. I think we can cross him off our suspect list.
Ray, have you seen Zari? I just checked the engine room. She's not there.
No, I haven't.
I'm sick and tired of playing mom. She's really starting to piss me off.
Well, in the meantime, how about some tea? It's my signature blend of chamomile, lavender, rose. Very relaxing.
If you see Zari, tell her I'm looking for her.
Ray!
Holy Toledo! Where'd you guys come from? Were you spying on me? Of course you are. I shouldn't say anything. Okay, I'll tell you everything. Constantine told me to kill Sara if Mollis ever takes control of her again.
Wow, dude, that's heavy.
Wait, maybe Sara Mollis is out and blows up the ship.
What do you mean she blows up the ship?
Zari's caught in a time loop and the ship explodes every hour.
Yeah.
Oh, like cause and effect. What? Star Trek Next Generation.
It's Groundhog Day.
Fair enough. But Star Trek... Wait, the ship explodes in an hour?
Yeah, actually, 24 minutes. And I think someone on board is causing it.
Nick.
It's clean.
Unlike his literary erotica.
Excuse me, what?
Long story. Like, literally a long story. It's
So
1,000
weird.
pages
There's
long.
blue.
It's just,
Anyway, the captain's the only one we haven't checked out. For that, we need your help, Ray.
I loved this entire scene, but particularly Ray's facial expressions and his acting just in general. Like, he starts by being so completely shaken by everything with Sara, then so relieved that he finally has someone to tell, and then dumbfounded by the reveal of Rory and his literary prowess. And so it just, he encompasses all of these things all within like less than a minute, and it just, I loved that scene. It killed me
so much. I mean, even that's why I included a little bit before too, because I loved even the beginning when Nate and Zari figure out what they have to do, and he's like, let's go spy on my best friend. He's just like
it's funny.
yeah. It's just so good. Again, the lighthearted music throughout the scene.
Yeah.
It's just fun. Yeah. All right. I got bonus number 1 coming up. We talked about this during our big discussion. This is one of the moments between Zari and Sara when Zari starts to break down. This is quite a ways into the episode, and she just can't handle the pressure anymore. And she breaks down to our captain. And again, in a second moment, when you expect Sara to go one way, she surprises us and completely just gives in to Zari and says, okay, I hear you. Let me help. What can I do? And it's just like, oh my God, Sara, you are the perfect leader for this team. So here's that moment.
Nothing's fun anymore.
That's not good.
Whoa. Hey, take it
It's
easy.
the only option I haven't tried. Maybe it'll stop the loop.
Hey, what the hell is going
Don't
on?
come closer. Typical.
Hey. It's okay. Let's talk this one through.
It doesn't matter. You won't believe me.
Try me.
I keep reliving the same hour over and over again, and no matter what I do, the ship explodes. Kills us all. And I'm totally alone in it because for some reason I'm the only one that's even aware that it's happening. And I try so hard. I can never save any of you.
Okay. I want to help.
Wait, you believe me?
Yeah, how much time do we have left?
That's heartbreaking. Tala's performance, but again, like I said, Sara just is like, okay. She sees that Zari is in so much pain. I mean, she actually pulled the trigger. She tried to kill herself in that moment, and Sarah's like, whoa, this is a serious moment, and I got to take charge of this. And again, it's just, gosh, perfect scene.
Mm-hmm. All right. We've been talking about it, so let's hear. Zari tells them the truth.
Get your tissues.
Sorry.
Sorry, Captain.
My beer isn't there.
What the hell are you doing?
Look, the force field's not strong enough to contain the explosion.
No, but it'll keep you guys out long enough for me to say what I need to say.
Sorry.
Mick, you don't have to hide what you love. Follow your heart and keep writing.
Sorry, we don't have time for
Nate
this.
and Amaya, I'm so lucky to call you guys my friends.
Sorry, the bomb!
What you guys have is so special. I mean, the way you look at each other honestly makes me want to puke, but don't fight it. You're crazy about each other. Just don't have sex on missions.
See, what are you doing?
What you would do, Ray? You know, when I first came on board, you were so nice and polite to me that I wanted to punch you. But I realize now the world would be a better place if we were all a little more like you. But being nice and polite's only gonna get you so far, so do me a favor and tell Sara why you're so afraid of her.
Okay, sure. But first I'm gonna figure out how to shut down the force field so we can deal with the bomb.
I am dealing with the bomb.
Sorry, look, you need to listen to me.
Sara,
right?
you are infuriating, stubborn, pain in my ass. Because you have to be. You're not just the captain of this ship, you are its soul. You are so fierce and unflinching. But why not apply some of that fearlessness to your own life and just ask poor Ava out already?
Did you have a meaningful message for me?
Not now, Gary!
Zari, let us in. We can do this together.
No. I have spent so much time with you guys. You're my family now. You deserve to be happy, and if I can be a small part of making that happen, then this will be worth it.
Sorry?
Look, that won't work. You won't be able to contain the explosion. Sorry, you don't have to do this.
Sorry, as your captain, I am ordering you to stand down.
You should know by now I'm not good at following orders.
You just told me what a good captain I am, and now you're not gonna listen to me?
Yeah, but this time I'm not doing it for myself, I'm doing it for you. I love you guys.
Sorry.
Holy intense, man.
I know.
And see.
Tug the heartstrings and then blow us all up.
Yeah. I mean, this really cements like why we love Zari, and she's seen all these aspects of everybody's lives that they kept hidden, and she tells them all, and it helps them all move forward, even if it's just in the simulation. But it's so powerful and so well acted. I just, I knew it was going to be my favorite scene before Jess put it in the notes. Like, if one of the two of you don't choose it, I'm going to choose it. I was like, well, I knew I was going to choose it. So yeah, so good.
It's just a display of acting unlike we've had on the show. It's so good.
Very well done.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, it tugs the heart out from us, because then we find out at the end that none of it really happened. None of them actually know what she said to them. But she kind of makes up for it by walking around the ship one by one and talking to each character again anyway, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
All right, well.
I liked that touch.
Yeah, it was a nice touch for sure.
I just liked that touch. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap it up with my last bonus clip, and it kind of, we talked about it, and I think it plays nicely right after your clip, X-Force. It's Gideon and Zari, and just some of the fun moments of when Gideon kind of lets her know everything that's going on and finishes off that whole moment at the end. So here's that.
You're saying my simulator works? Did my program predict that I'd bail on the team?
In almost every variation of the timeline, your fight with Captain Lance precipitated your leaving the ship.
So your goal was to get me to choose to stay with the Legends.
I put you into your own program and devised a scenario where the only way to successfully complete the simulation was to grow closer to the team and develop a bond.
What about the bomb?
It was just a plot device I incorporated. A problem to solve. But the real problem was you. If you stayed angry after your fight with Sara, you would have left the team. And without you and your totem, there would have been no chance in the coming days to defeat Mollis or save 2042.
So the interactions, the things I learned about the team, they were all fake?
Everything you experienced was extrapolated from my current knowledge of the Legends. While not real, what you saw was true. It doesn't take a supercomputer to predict that those two would wind up dinky tickling once Amaya returned to the team.
This one seems less plausible.
We'll have to ask Mr. Rory.
I am terrified and in awe of you, Gideon. Who knew you were such an evil genius and a bit of a perv?
You never bothered to ask. It's an impressive piece of software you designed, Mr. Mars.
Is that a compliment, Gideon?
Don't let it go to your head. Are you ready to wake up now?
One last question. Gary. Why even have him in the time loop if he was just gonna be stuck in the trash compactor the whole time?
Thought it'd be funny.
I mean, dinky tickling
is possibly my favorite Britishism ever.
The moments, it's just too perfect. Because it just comes out. You don't even expect her to say anything like that, and it just comes out.
Oh my God.
That brought tears of joy. It was so funny.
I love Gideon so much.
So much. But I mean, that just encompassed a lot of what we talked about. It's beautiful. All right, let's pause for our ad break, if there is any for you fine listeners, and we'll come back with the start of episode 12. Let's do that.
Arrgh, I'd be looking for a crew. Any seaworthy scum around here?
Oh no, it's the dread pirate Quinn.
You there. Have you ever traveled the high seas?
No. I'm kind of what they call a land lover.
Ah, we'll be making a pirate out of you. Get to scrubbing them decks, or ye be walking the plank.
Did not remember that. That was fun.
I did not remember that one either until I found it. I was like, oh my, I bet you Harley forgets this.
100%. I forget anything I do immediately. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I like how we ended up pairing this when you basically did most of the intro on the first one, and then I ended up doing most of the intro on this next one.
Yep.
The pairings are working out quite interesting.
It's pretty fun. I just love your take on being a pirate. It's so fun. I think that was one of those ones where when I presented it, you're like, really? I have to try? I don't know how to be a pirate. Come on, just try it.
I do love me some pirate stuff, though, I will say.
Yeah. For sure. Well, let's get into episode 12 called The Curse of the Earth Totem, and we're going to kick it off with our ratings.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
All right, X-Force.
I gave this one 8 spiced rum floats.
Nice.
So we see here the format of so much of the Legends show. Humor blended with some action and with some drama. You know, it was just a fun tale. Not as good as the last episode, but the true start of the relationship between Sara and Ava, and the good character notes with Amaya and Ray was, just able to keep it up there for me. And it was a fun voyage with our crew of wave riders. So an 8 for me.
Nice.
I'm giving this one actually an 8.5, Cursed Treasure Zombies, because I really do love a good pirate story. I mean, it was fun. It had that Pirates of the Caribbean feel, and I actually kind of found the twist that Blackbeard was a total coward to be really funny.
Yeah.
It was a little cheesy, but really funny. I'm 100% certain we probably hated this on our first watch, but in hindsight, it kind of just made me giggle. Plus, we get the first date, which, again, in hindsight, that kind of brings this episode up a little bit for me. We get Rip hijinks, which y'all know I love. I know y'all hate it, but I love a good Rip just being Rip. And then the twist at the end with the Darhks kidnapping Ray. I forgot about that plot point, but I do distinctly remember scenes from, I know, episodes that are to come probably in the next week or so. So overall, I really liked this episode. Found myself more along for the ride on this one. It was a very enjoyable rewatch, but it didn't have as much meat as the Zari episode. So while it was a really fun rewatch, there's just not as much to dig into for me.
Yep. And because of what you guys said, that's why I'm only giving this one a 7 Pirates of the Caribbean streaming, as in timeline streaming. I know, that was bad. Bad humor like this one. Totally forgot all about this pirate episode. I really forgot that we had a completely pirate-based storyline right out of left field when this one hit. But then once it started, I started remembering everything, like Blackbeard being a coward and all that. I loved all the costumes and how everyone looked. Once again, showing us that the Legends really dove into the scenery and fitting into the show back then, continuing to embrace the time periods. And I'm going to be curious to see when that stops, because we're three and a half seasons in now, and they're still fully diving into that aspect of the show. And I'm wondering, when does that stop? When do they lay off of the costuming and the trying to hide in the timeline? Because there is a distinct shift when that stops. So I'm curious when that comes. This one, like you guys said, it didn't roll as well as last week, but there was some fun moments, especially with Mick and the totem story, how it takes the lead here for the rest of the season. I think this is where the totem story really takes off, like I was mentioning in our last one. The Mick stuff here I just really enjoyed, and the whole pirate theme, like you, Harley. I love pirates. I love Pirates of the Caribbean, so it was just fun to kind of be in that entire world for a full episode. It was cool. Just not as good. It just didn't have the depth and the emotion. It was just more of a, let's have some fun with pirates. Okay, great. So you get a 7.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally agree.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this one.
Gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start this one off with Avalanche. Yay.
Yay.
First date time. Oh, I did not exactly remember this. Like, I remember it now that I see it, if that makes sense, because they're both very stunning in these dresses, and I remember the scenes happening, but I just forgot the context of like which episode it fell in and the fact that this was their first date. So I really enjoyed getting to relive that.
I mean, this was great. Getting to see these beautiful ladies all dressed up and getting to see, the fun of getting to know them more fully on the date. And it was just so funny of both of them getting called away by work in the midst of the date. I mean, it's just so typical for both of them. So I just, it was a lot of fun. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. Just, I mean, being the man that I am, 2 beautiful actresses, they looked great. But I also want to throw it back to Amaya and Zari. Like, this episode, everybody had a new hairstyle. All the women characters, brand new hair that we've never seen. I was like, whoa, okay, everybody's looking. Because Amaya had the super long straight hair, when she wasn't a pirate. And Zari had the huge curls. And yeah, just crazy. But again, I loved how the date transitioned from them being all awkward at first, and okay, let's settle into the date and start talking, and then they both get called away to their missions, and it's like, you know what, we are not this, these are not who we are. We're not go out to a fancy restaurant and have a date. No, our fun is being together, kicking ass, and taking names. That's how we enjoy being together, and I just love that transition through the whole episode.
Oh yeah. It's my life. Love it. And speaking of things that I love, Gideon's voicemail was hilarious. I'm 99% sure this is a clip that you have, but I loved her saying, "Just thought you should know."
I do have it. We'll let Jeff add in his thoughts here.
Yeah, I mean, it was just hilarious. I mean, it's just, by the way,
you're getting a voicemail from your ship's AI. I mean,
how surreal.
Who's also babysitting the rest of your team while you're away. Oh my gosh, I loved it. So funny. Well, while he's looking for that, so another thing I noticed that she does mention in one of these scenes, she mentions they should have a follow-up date, like with Genghis Khan, like where they're trying to like defeat him. That's the episode she ends up directing in season 5, is the Genghis Khan episode. I distinctly hated that episode. It was the one where Nate rides around on that stupid scooter, and I hated that. But I loved how she mentioned, oh yeah, our next date will be like defeating Genghis Khan or something. And then that's the episode that Katie actually directs, like when they get to that in season 5. And that made me laugh. I thought that was pretty funny.
I remember talking about it back then, and I'm going to say it again here. I need Gideon to call me and leave me a voicemail. That's all. Like, it would be perfect. It would be so fun to just have her call you. It's an AI calling you. I know we're almost in that world now with the advent of AI taking over everything, and AI is going to eventually call us anytime soon now. But it's not Gideon, like this one is here.
I'm sure it's nothing. It's a voicemail. I'm just gonna listen.
It wasn't my idea, but the team has taken the Wave Rider on a joyride to the Bahamas 1717 in a futile attempt to locate the missing Earth Totem. Just thought you should know.
Just sharing the tea.
Come on, he's so good. I love it.
I originally titled that one Little Rat.
Nice.
Because she's ratting about. Yeah.
I was like, I know we've played this before.
Yep.
All right, well, let's move on to more of the meat of our episode. We're going to talk about Amaya and the Dread Pirate Jiwei. So, first of all, Mick and Amaya bonding. Love it. So sweet. And I love that he, like, invents this whole thing on the spot. I mean, it was... They pull from so many, like, different things to kind of, like, make this whole episode, but they pull, you know, some stuff from The Princess Bride with the Dread Pirate, and then, of course, they're pulling a lot from Pirates of the Caribbean. It's just such a fun storyline. And then I like that she gets to drop her American accent, which is not her real accent.
Exactly.
So I had forgotten that bit. So when she switched accents, I was like, oh, hey, that was a pleasant surprise.
It was
and it was fun how they were all playing along. You know, even Ray with "Dead Men Tell No Tales." You know, it was just hilarious, and you know the whole thing of the Devil's Triangle, the Bermuda Triangle, like Gideon, you know, systems are not working. It's like, well, you did park me in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
So I love it.
The sarcasm of Gideon is really starting to come through in this season, and it's hilarious. But
that made me laugh. Also, I did not realize the Bahamas was located in the Bermuda Triangle. Is that true?
It's near it, yeah. I don't know if it's right.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
no, because Bahamas is south of Bermuda. You have to, depending on where you're flying in the world, you have to go through the Bermuda Triangle to get to the Bahamas. But Bermuda itself isn't, like, there's the Bermuda Islands. You can go to Bermuda and have a vacation in Bermuda if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've been to the Bahamas, and so I was confused.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty fascinating what's going on there. But I with this scene, I also like that. It was like 2 members of our team started this tale of Dread Pirate Jiwei, and then all of a sudden the entire bar jumps. Oh yeah, I heard this and I heard that. Like, wow, that picked up quick. Like that was the fastest telephone game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Why is everybody staring at me?"
I know. We may or may not hear that soon.
Okay.
Which I loved it. I love that entire scene. That's why we're going to hear it again. So freaking good. Oh, but anyways, speaking of things I totally forgot about in this episode, or this series in general, was the fact that Damien Darhk shows up and steals her totem. I did not remember these storylines very well. I vaguely recall after rewatching it, the ending where, you know, obviously, you know, after Ray shoots Nora, and we'll get there a little bit later. But like, I did not remember this detail that he showed up so soon and then takes her totem. Completely forgot that bit of the story. So I was like, oh, all right, here we go. Things got real.
Yeah. So I had forgotten that, and I'm just sitting there wondering, and maybe you talked about it, but like, is it because he's so magically gifted that he can just remove the totem that easily? I thought that, like, there was some type of bond that you couldn't like take it off, but maybe I'm just overthinking it. But
yeah, I think Have we not witnessed before, like Zari losing it easily? And, you know, I don't know if there's some type of kinetic bond of them actually wearing it when you can't take it off. I'm not sure. It's a good question. I thought maybe we've seen them lose it easily before. I don't know, but I totally forgot about Dark too.
Up originally.
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, Zari gave hers up originally. Yeah. Her totem. When she loses it earlier this season, it's because she gave it to Nora.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's a good point, but I don't know. I guess, I mean, how I saw it was Damien did his whole like immobilizing trick and then uses his magic to like, no, he immobilizes her magically and then he rips the necklace off.
Yep. That's what happened. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess maybe that's why, because he like physically grabbed it and pulled.
I don't know.
See, and the thing that I picked up on this rewatch is that they just finished pumping her up to be the dread pirate Jue. Watch out, the whole bar was there. And then in the next instant, he shows up and immobilizes her and rips the necklace off and makes her look like a complete weakling fool. So it kind of ruined everything that they just built up.
Yeah. Well, which is why they have to work even harder to fix it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting. So another thing I wanted to definitely call out though was all of these sword fights. So there were several of them, but I loved the choreography. I love a good pirate story. And so I thought it was really fun to kind of watch all of the swashbuckling that we got to see on this episode. It was fun.
Yeah, I love the fight sequence, and I like pirate stories as well. One of the podcasts I listen to, Grim and Mile Presents, they do seasons about different stuff, and they did a whole season on historical pirate tales, like giving you the history on these different captains and where the history is and where the lore is and things like that. And so it was a fun season to listen to. But yeah, I love the fight choreography.
It's a really good season.
Send me that, Jeff. I've never heard of that one.
It's good.
Yeah, we'll do.
I'm really behind on that podcast, but I just started Outside Manners.
Yeah, so they're doing the Old West is what they're doing right now on Grim and Mild. So
okay. Send me the link so I can find it. I'll look it up. That sounds cool.
We'll do.
Because I'm right with you guys. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean, one of the great franchises of our time. Just pirate stories. I don't know if you guys saw Cutthroat Island with Gina Davis and Matthew Modine
back in the day. Yeah,
that is my all-time favorite pirate movie. Cutthroat Island, Harley. If I can find it, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
So much fun. They really take the whole pirate adventure to another level. It's just fun. I mean, it has some of the best ship-to-ship cannon battles of all time. It's just awesome. And
that's cool.
Yeah, so much fun. And I love the sword fighting. I love all that kind of stuff. I just started watching a show, The Three Musketeers. I don't know if you guys watched that one. It went for 3 seasons. And it's
no, I remember that movie like back in the day, but
there's been many iterations of the movies, like they've done over and over. But they actually did a TV show called The Three Musketeers, and it's really good. It's all this swashbuckling stuff around the Three Musketeers story and D'Artagnan, and he's the 4th Musketeer, and it's good. It's just a fun show. So if you guys have time, you want to check that one out. But I'm just with you. It's just fun. They did the choreography really well here, and I think anytime someone picks up a sword, it's just fun. Like, who doesn't want to get into a sword fight and have fun? We all did it when we're kids. We pretend we have swords. You grab, a paper towel, or at Christmas time when you finish the Christmas wrap, you've got the little the cardboard tube, and you start beating on each other with swords. Like, we all do it. Right?
Or lightsabers.
What's that?
Which are basically, is it, or lightsabers, which are basically.
Yes.
That too. Yeah.
Indeed.
Exactly.
I had one of those that was like taller than me, that was like hollow. It was Vader's, and so when you swung it around, it made the noise.
Yep.
And it's like it was a blast. But yeah, indeed.
It's funny. On Halloween, the kids had a giant sword fight in our front yard before we went trick-or-treating. Madison had a lightsaber, and a couple of her friends had swords with their costumes, and they were just having this giant sword fight in our front yard. It was pretty funny.
See? Everybody loves the sword fight, so fun.
We had a wide variety. We had a Minecraft sword. We had a sword from Lord of the Rings. We had a couple lightsabers. There was a lot going on in that sword fight.
Good fun. Good times.
Oh, but poor Blackbeard. He doesn't want to get into a sword fight because apparently he's a giant coward.
Yeah.
Which made me laugh. I had also forgotten this element of this episode, and I'm fairly certain we probably didn't like this the first time around, them making him be cowardly, because it kind of goes against the legend of Blackbeard, which was the point, which I can now appreciate. You know, it's what Legends does. They take it, they make something with a funny twist, and when they do it well, it's done well. And I thought this was done well in hindsight. So I like it when they turn things on their heads and they kind of actually pull it off. So
I think you're right. I think I remember us ripping into that and being so angry. Like, come on, it's Blackbeard. No way. Like, it's just too stupid. But I, too, enjoyed it more this time around because I love the scene when the two girls are you know, they're attacking him on the bridge of the Wave Rider there. And he's like, oh, well, how about you ladies join my crew? Like, it's just fun stuff.
I know. So funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun trope of, you know, the man not living up to the legends, but
yeah,
it was so wild to see Jonathan Cake here playing Blackbeard as opposed to the character we saw him play on Stargirl, The Shade.
Right.
I didn't know that was him.
I was like, he looks familiar, and then I remember us talking on Stargirl. That he was in, but like, you know, I was like, oh yeah.
Wow. Did not make that connection.
I was like, this guy sounds really familiar to me. Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Wow. Yep. So funny,
I was reading ahead and scanning your notes. I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize I forgot that was him. So good.
Yeah. So good.
Okay, well, the lady. Okay, I forgot about this whole plot point with this lady, Blackbeard's whatever. I don't know if she was a wife, pirate queen, whatever he calls her. He kills her and then buries her with the totem because the totem takes her over and it amplifies your innermost whatever. And so she was very evil. So I guess it turned into a raging killer zombie monster thing. So when then she kind of reappears, that was definitely a little bit more like horror-esque than I was expecting remembering out of Legends. So I thought that bit was quite well done. She was quite gnarly. It inspired my rating.
But we've had zombie pirates in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies too, so it kind of fits.
It does, but I feel like this was a bit more, I don't know, zombie.
Yeah. I mean, she gets to drop on the Darhks, so that kind of says a lot about how powerful she is.
Also true.
So,
I mean, what do we really see? Like, she's the Earth Totem bearer at this point, and she looks like she has control over plants. That's really all we got to see of her power, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's probably more than that. It's probably anything to do with like nature and earth, and she could probably do stuff with like the actual dirt and the, you know, and the trees and the flowers and plants in general. So, but yeah, I'm sure with a limited budget, you gotta pick what you can show.
Yeah.
For sure. But this leads us into a fight like that with Sara and Ava, and they take on the pirates because, you know, someone takes a time courier and sneaks away. I think it's Nate and Ray. And then the pirates get onto the Wave Rider instead. And so then Sara and Ava have to take on all these pirates. And this, I just thought this was awesome. This was such a great fight.
Yeah. I mean, the two of them working together was great. And the funny thing is, like, I thought they'd picked up sticks or something like that. But, like, they were like giant flutes because you could see like the wind hole and the keys on them. Like they're taking out pirates with flutes.
For sure, the one, because the one you clearly see. I'm like, what the? 'Cause you don't notice it when they're actually fighting. It's not until they hold it up to Blackbeard's throat that you get a good view of what they were. But again, that this just kicks off the fight sequences with Sara and Ava because they always had the best fight scenes together, the choreography and the two of them working together as a team. So that we're getting the beginnings of that here, and there's just so much fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a great scene. I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, we're going to talk about Rip for a second, because in between all of this crazy town pirate stuff that's going on, we are getting Rip and Wally scenes. So we knew because of the tag Rip had tracked down Wally. Then he shows up, and his pitch to Wally is, I guess, not super great. So in the end, he decides to get them drunk. I don't know. I really forgot about this entire thing, although it does lead to some amusing hijinks, which do make me giggle.
Yeah, I mean, like bringing up Cisco's rocket fuel alcohol that would get us feature drunk. I love that because, I like Cisco and how he was willing to do that. And Wally's phrase to Rip, it's like, sounds like you're a bit of a douche. No offense.
Yeah.
Not
thanks.
taken.
I do enjoy that Rip is actually like self-deprecating in this episode because, I mean, he kind of should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've never enjoyed people being drunk. I don't find drunk people funny. Not on TV shows, not in real life. Drunk people annoy the crap out of me. So this whole scene, I was just like, But like you said, the douche part, there's some funny moments in it. For me, I think the funniest was when, I know it's coming up in your next point here, but when Gary's walking along the sidewalk and Wally runs up and grabs all of his stuff, and then Gary just drops to the ground with his pants at his ankles and he jumps up. He's like, what? I was laughing my ass off at Gary's performance because it's less than a split second. He has no idea what happened, but he's suddenly in the middle of the street with his pants at his ankles and all his stuff is gone, and it was hilarious.
I think my favorite part about this whole scene was he's like, it happened again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how much has happened to you?
Oh no, really?
You find yourself in the middle of the street with your pants down? What is...
I don't understand. Like, what is happening to you? You need to not go walking at night, clearly.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, another note, though. I'm not going to lie. I loved their karaoke. I would have listened to the two of them sing quite a bit longer. Because they're both singers and they can perform well. And so I would have listened to this much more.
Yeah, careless whisper for the win there. So
it's a great karaoke song.
It is.
Martin is silent.
I'm just like, I wasn't laughing at them too. I don't find them funny actors, so.
I wasn't so much laughing as I was just kind of like, not gonna lie, just kind of enjoying the performance, like their voices.
Fair enough.
I'm always a sucker for a good singing performance.
Fair enough.
So. All right, well, rounding out this fun episode, we do have the bit of stuff with Ray, which I had also kind of forgotten that this all happened in this episode. I distinctly remember scenes of him being kidnapped, but I completely forgot how he got kidnapped in the first place. And it's his survivor's guilt. He's a good guy, and he feels really bad that he's killed Nora. So he finds a solution, transports himself back in time to seconds after he shot her, and then he finds out the hard way that Nora and Damien are not as good as he is.
Yeah, I mean, it really speaks to his character, and he tries to find hope in every situation and every person, even if it gets him in trouble. I mean, it really speaks to who he is.
And for all of those reasons, that's why it's my favorite scene. Hint, hint.
Nice.
But yeah, so I'll share my thoughts when we get to that scene, which is coming right up in a moment. The one point I forgot to bring in, I just wanted to say is that I loved Mick being the wise friend to Amaya, like almost like, she's playing Captain Jeway, and he was always there at her side through this entire episode. He was at her side. He was her first mate. They were like in tandem. They were partners through this episode, and we've mentioned it a few times, but this is when Mick, I think, was at the height of his character, when he got to start showing that he's smart and he's wise and he's got experience and he can display that to the team and starting to get them to listen. Like we really got some good Mick stuff back here, and I just love this moment with him and Amaya when, you know, he just gives her advice and he has her back. Mick, what's really important to Mick is protecting his partner. If he's a partner with somebody in whatever given moment, he's got your back. And who would want anyone but Mick to have your back? Like that guy is he's a loyal fella, a loyal friend, or a loyal teammate.
Mm-hmm.
I love that aspect about him.
Indeed.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right, let's get to favorite scenes for this episode.
Shape out an eagle!
Speaking of Mick.
Yeah, playing right off of that, let's listen to Mick the sounding board.
What's up?
Nothing.
I said, what's up?
Fine, you're an unbiased listener. I want to change my granddaughter, Kwasa's past, and, well, improve her future.
So do it.
It's not that simple. What if I inadvertently change my other granddaughter's destiny?
So don't do it.
And then there's Nate. I still have to go back to 1942 and marry someone else so the Kwasa and Mari are even born. We can never end up together. I feel paralyzed. Every step I take, it feels like it could just have disastrous consequences.
Take a look around. You think these people give a damn about consequences? Pick the night off. A true pirate doesn't live for tomorrow. They only live for the moment.
Thanks, Mick. But I don't know the first thing about acting like a pirate.
Well, I do.
Yeah, I mean, she's just so conflicted here, and you know, it's fun. She lets it all out to Mick, and you know, his advice about having fun and not thinking about tomorrow is not good long term for her, but it's what she needs to clear her head. And I appreciate that he's there, and I just love the do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it.
It's so simple, eh? Like he's like, what's there to think about here? Just do it or don't do it. It's not a difficult process.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good for her to blow up some steam, just temporarily. I mean, we all know where her future lies. Eventually, she's going to have to go back. So, I mean, she may as well enjoy herself while she can.
Indeed.
Yep.
All right. Well, I am up next, and I talked about this quite a bit already, so we can kind of just listen back to it for fun. But I chose the Dread Pirate Jiwei speech.
Listen up. The Dread Pirate Jiwei is looking for a crew.
Your old captain, Blackbeard, buried his treasure on Grace Island. Ah. So you've heard the rumors then, that the treasure is cursed. But while old Blackbeard is afraid of his own shadow, you men, you vile and despicable men, are willing to face Davy Jones himself for a crack at gold and glory. Yeah. Who's willing to join me as we take over Blackbeard's ship? Yeah.
She really got into that role, I think.
She did. Yeah, it was good.
Good stuff. Well, I think we talked about all of our scenes in our discussion. So this is the one where Ray was feeling guilty about just killing Nora, and I'll talk about it after we hear it.
Oh, that. Just doing a bit of light theorizing, and then I had a breakthrough. I'm going to develop a liquid for the perfect dry erase marker. Strong viscosity, clean lines.
You're a terrible liar.
Yeah. It's Nora. The nanite pistol is going to kill her. That's what it's supposed to do. But now I feel
like a badass.
No. Guilty.
What? You saved Maya.
I know. Doesn't really make sense, except that I met her as a kid.
Well, now she's all grown up and joined the demon side.
Yeah. But you have changed since I first met you. And I hate to break it to you, Mick, but you are a much better person. And maybe Nora could have become one too. It was hope for her anyway, before I took it away.
So I like that for a couple things, because again, it continues the dialogue I have about Mick being friends with everybody. He's kind of an understudy of Zari. He is able to show that he can be there for each member of the team, and he's got their backs in his Mick way. Like, he's just like, you're a terrible liar. And that was like, he sees right through people. He is so intuitive, more than people give him credit for, and I love that about him. But talking about Ray here, it's just, this is so good for Ray because it plays what you guys were saying, plays right into who Ray is. We always call him the Boy Scout, and we always pick on him for that, but we heard it in the last episode when Zari says she realizes that if the world had a few more people like him in it, it'd be a much better place. And it's very true, because Ray is so kind and so thoughtful and so forgiving, and does not want to cause harm or pain or anything. He is just the kindest guy, and it hurts him that he, in a hesitant moment, he shot somebody to save one of his friends, and now that person may die, and he can't handle that, and he has to turn around and jump in and say, even though they're mortal enemies at this point in time, I'm going to save them. It's just, it's who Ray is, and I love that for this character. It took away from the goofiness that he's been a lot in some of the episodes where he's just goofy. This showed us a side of him that was just really, just nice.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, no, I agree. He can't help himself. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. He's a good guy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we do have a bit of feedback tonight, but before we do, we're just going to remind you guys about our Patreon support and how you can help the show.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
Speaking of, guys, are we going to try to get in a hangout before Christmas?
Oh, it's been a while since we've done one.
Yeah. We promised one in the summertime when we had all the time off and we never got to it, so we should think about that. Let's throw a message in the Patreon group chat that we have and see if everybody would be up for it. Can do it on a week that we're not recording, maybe. Something like that. Cool. Let's get to feedback.
Don't keep it to yourself now. Come on, baby, talk to us. It's feedback. Yeah.
I really wish I had a pirate-themed feedback jingle just for this one. All right, let's kick it off with our friend Dreamweaver.
Hello, Legendaires. Dreamweaver here with my thoughts on Legends Season 3, Episodes 11 and 12. But first, here's some quick thoughts on the last two episodes since I wasn't able to write in on time. I still don't love Bebo God of War because of the aforementioned introduction of the blue one, and while I love seeing Wentworth Miller again, Leo just didn't fit this episode in my personal opinion. That opening puppet therapy scene I did not like. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was funny the first time. I still didn't think it was funny this time. That puppet does come back in the Season 4 episode, so we will see it again. And the Vikings listening to Bebo was silly, but not the fun kind of silly. The positives. The Arrow reference in the beginning, fun. Legends in their Viking outfits, also fun. Jack's getting some closure with young Stein, and then getting a surprise party to send him off with. I thought that was really nice. The montage sequence with the team working through how to approach Dark and seeing the different ways it plays out and consequences of what might happen, very fun. And Neil McDonough dressed as and playing Odin is the fun kind of silly. And we also get that initial look into Mollus's realm when Sara goes through and her connection to him starting. That storyline that continues into Daddy Darkest and then into further episodes this season was one of my favorites for the whole season and of the whole run. I really enjoyed it. So it was nice to see it start here. It's getting a 7 out of 10 for me, so it's still not obviously my favorite. It starts a few things that kind of send the show a little downhill into the more goofy territory. But there's a lot of things that it sets up that are really good for the rest of the season. We really start off that Ava-Lance relationship. This is the episode where it kind of turns into more flirtation. They like each other instead of being antagonists. And now on to Daddy Darkest. I like horror, so I really enjoyed that this one pushed it into the horror genre and did it well, especially with Sara having the visions in the asylum. I know you guys talked about we'd never really see Sara in fear, and I agree. It was really disorienting to see her be so disorienting, so it really added to that factor of like, Mollis isn't playing around, and this is where they were building him up really well as a kind of a cool demon, and I know that, gets kind of shot down by the end of the season when we see the finale, which is why I also still am on the train of they should have kept him as kind of like just an ethereal being instead of a physical form, because he was a lot cooler when he's just kind of a voice in people's heads and can manipulate things in the outside world still from, within the time prison. The concept of them also being in the same place but split up in time was cool. And I like Leo in this episode. The gay not blind line lives in my head. I remember it so clearly. I think this episode was clever too. It was a clever way to introduce Nora's backstory and her connection to Mollis, while it's still being a good character episode for everyone, for that matter too. And it was a good episode for Constantine. I really liked him on Legends in doses, when the magic and dark arts is needed. Not necessarily when he's been a full-time cast member, because his storylines kind of took over the show and we stopped getting a lot more time travel. And this one gets an 8.5 out of 10 from me. Okay, so now on to these two. First up is Here I Go Again. And what all can I say? This episode is still great. It still reigns as one of my favorites. It's such a great character episode for Zari. Tala is just so good. And it manages to advance the plot and gets all of the secrets that the characters have been keeping out into the light and the team communicating. Like that scene when Zari is just about to give up and wants to shoot herself, and then her and Sara have the talk. Like, it's honestly like so powerful. Like all the performances, the way it plays out with Zari realizing that she has to be the one to sacrifice herself for the team and not just try to stop the bomb. It's so well done. It's honestly so emotional for an episode just smack in the middle of a Legends season. And we've said this before, Legends can do heart and fun really well together, and this episode really proves that. I love Hedgehog Day type of episodes, and like Nate said, it was only a matter of time before they actually did a time loop episode. And they did it so well. Zari becoming part of the team, Human Gideon making an appearance, Ava-Lance flirting, the beginning of Mick's writing career, the fun montage, the implication that the Legends performed with ABBA in the 70s to save the timeline from Napoleon. Oh, excellent. 10 out of 10. There's really nothing more I can say. I mean, there is. I could keep saying really nice things about the episode for a long time. But it's just a perfect episode. Very rewatchable. Very good. And now, on to the Curse of the Earth Totem. Before I did my last rewatch, so not this one, I was wondering why the Legends never did a pirate episode. Because I felt they would have had so much fun with a pirate episode. And I had completely forgotten that this one existed, that there was a pirate episode. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It was just kind of middle of the road. And I'm pretty sure I didn't remember this one existed because Sara didn't get to dress up like a pirate. And that was a real miss. We did get an Ava-Lance first date and their first kiss, but not them as pirates. I guess that they did get to fight some pirates, so that's cool too.
Good point.
I like seeing Mick and Amaya's friendship really come through this episode as they built that up in season 2, but we just hadn't seen much of it throughout season 3 so far. I was a bit disappointed to see Zari not do as much in this episode, especially right after Here I Go Again, and her fully becoming part of the team. So I really would have liked to see her be a part of the mission and not just on the ship as the mechanic. I also forgot that this is the one that introduced Wally officially into Legends, and him stealing the time courier and Pants and Gary made me laugh, I will say. But Rip? I really just don't love Rip. I'm glad he exists so that the show could exist. And Evil Rip in season 2 was actually my favorite version of him. But this Rip is just kind of pathetic. He did nothing but get drunk all episode. I know he's kind of down and out on himself for, leading all the agents into a slaughter in the Return of the Mac and bringing Damien back and getting arrested and all of those things, but come on, Rip. I know you're trying to recruit here, but yeah, I don't know. It just didn't work for me. Anyways, I feel like they could have done something more clever with this episode instead of mostly just being it's set in a tavern. I would have loved to see them on an actual ship if that would have been possible. I know it's a CW budget. And they made Blackbeard kind of a coward so that the Darhks could be the main antagonist. You know, it wasn't bad because the Darhks are fun, but I would have loved to have seen more actual story take place with Blackbeard, or with something historical more than just kind of, you know, the legend with the Earth Totem. Though the look of zombie Annie under the Earth Totem's power was pretty cool. I liked that. It was kind of like a Legends creepy version of Poison Ivy. And I said in my last feedback that we would be seeing a Stargirl alum at some point this season, and here he was in this episode. Jonathan Cake, aka The Shade, played Blackbeard. He was a little less memorable here than in Stargirl with this role, but it was fun to see his name pop up in the credits on my last rewatch, knowing who he was at that point. So I knew I'd be on the lookout for him showing back up again when I rewatch this time. This episode gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me. Alright, well I think that's all my thoughts for now. I'm back to a fairly normal schedule again, work-wise, so hoping to send in feedback on a more regular basis. And by the next feedback deadline, I will have actually met half of the cast of Legends. I'm actually heading across the pond for a week for a fully Legends of Tomorrow convention, so I'm very excited for that and for getting a break from work. So, until next time, your friend, Dreamweaver.
Okay, you need to send us some more details about that, Dreamweaver.
Yeah,
what do you mean going across the
awesome.
pond? Where? And
London.
London?
I think it's in London.
It's just a Legends of Tomorrow convention? I have never heard of such a thing.
I thought it was Arrowverse, because Stephen Amell's over there too. I could be wrong.
Okay, I gotta look into it. Post something on the Facebook page, Dreamweaver, about that, like just a link to the show or something. I want to check that out, because dang, if I had known, I might have made the flight over there just for the heck of it too. That'd be fun.
I can't afford that.
Yeah. No.
Be awesome, but I can't afford it.
Yeah, it'd be. But Dreamweaver, it is so good to have my partner in film analytical crime back. She agreed with pretty much everything that I had said over these last 2 episodes. Good stuff. Next up is Perry White.
Hey, Legends. Perry White here with feedback as part of our Season 3 rewatch of Legends of Tomorrow. Episode Here I Go Again and Curse of the Earth Totem.
Bring it, Carrie.
All right, let's get into this. The episode Here I Go Again, absolutely brilliant. 10 out of freaking 10. I would pit it as one of the greatest episodes of Legends of Tomorrow of all time, and probably one of the greatest episodes of television, period. Tala Ash was fantastic as Zari in this episode. I could go on and on and on for hours about her performance, but I wanted to shed some light on sort of the other half of this fantastic episode, and that would be the fantastic Amy Pemberton and her portrayal as Gideon. Looking back at this episode, knowing what we got in episode 100, basically with Gideon sharing so much insight into what our legends were all about in that episode, the sort of breadcrumbs for that was sort of sown here in terms of the fact of she sees and hears everything that our legends do and say and feel, and sort of having that sort of interaction with the legends makes Gideon the foremost authority on what the legends are all about and what they do. So I just thought it was a fantastic narrative device to sort of pull her in there at the end and sort of be the reason behind this whole Groundhog Day situation with Zari, because at the same time that Zari gets to know our legends as we all do, it's sort of the surprise that Gideon was behind it all is just a revelation that Gideon sees all, knows all, hears all, and feels all. And that's just a fantastic character trait. And they did it, they used it so well in the 100th episode. and this just sort of laid the groundwork for it. It's just so fantastic to see how insightful and devious and fun and slightly evil Gideon can be. And again, we sort of saw that with the evil Gideon that we see later on in season. So I'm just wondering if they came back to this episode when they were sort of developing the evil Gideon storyline. I just thought it was fantastic. And Amy Pemberton, man, anytime she gets to play Gideon in the flesh, man, she's just fantastic. One of the great failings of this show is that they did not do that near as much as they should have. I mean, I would be willing to get rid of probably a great percentage of the characters that they brought onto this show if they'd have just said, you know what, Gideon needs to be in the flesh, let's bring it on. Oh, wow.
Here.
All right, so that's all I have to say about Here We Go Again. All right, let's talk about Curse of the Earth Totem. Well, obviously, after that fantastic episode that we had with Here We Go Again, there had to be a little bit of a letdown in the next episode, and certainly this was. Not to say that it was bad or terrible, but obviously when you climb the mountain like they did in Here We Go Again, you've got to plateau and sort of level out a little bit. And I feel like that's what this episode did. Certainly it was nice that they built on some of the things that they showed us in Here We Go Again, particularly with Ava and Sara and their relationship and their fantastic first date. They both look freaking fantastic, by the way. I guess it was fine that Amaya got sort of the spotlight in this episode. I've not been the biggest fan of her character, but I think it was still important to remind us as viewers of the sort of terribly precarious situation that she's in terms of what her destiny, what her destiny is, and obviously what her feelings and emotions are in her current situation and how she sort of rectifies that. Like I said, I thought the episode was fine enough. It was just sort of a letdown from the previous episode, which, I mean, it goes without saying when an episode is a 10 out of 10, right? The thing that bugged me the most is the thing that we like the most about Ray, and that is obviously he wanted to save Nora, which, turns out to be later on in the series pretty important character to him. So it's important that he saved her life, not just for the guilt, but for himself later down the line. I just wish he had taken sort of better precautions as opposed to just going to the Darhks and giving her the life-saving injection and not having any sort of defenses for himself. But I mean, that's Ray going in full optimism, not thinking about the dangers or consequences of it all. Speaking of the Darhks, here's the one thing about Damien Darhk that bugs me the most. He's just so freaking overpowered with his magic that it just feels like and seems like anytime he wanted to do ultimately what it is that he wants to do to the legends, he could just sort of snap his fingers and make it happen. And so when you have a character that is that incredibly powerful, it just always feels like sort of, I don't know exactly what it is, but it just seems like sort of a waste to some degree when he's just dilly-dallying and playing around with the legends. And certainly the character is fun and quirky in his own way, and anytime he's on the screen, it's great to see him. But the bottom line is he could just basically end our legends anytime he wants, and when he doesn't do it, you're just sort of sitting there groaning a little bit like, he's just so powerful, what the hell can the legends do against him? Really the only weakness that he has is his own ego. I guess, which can be fun, but in terms of how he's portrayed on the show, in terms of his power set, it just feels like it's sort of like, why don't you just do what you need to do? Anyway, that is my only nitpick. I may have been rambling a bit, but I am been trying to sneak this feedback in before the deadline. I hope I've made it. Anyway, this has been Perry White. I look forward to hearing what other folks have to say about this episode and looking forward to finishing out this season 3, which has been fantastically good up until you know what happens at the you know what. Anyway, I'm going to go out on a positive note. Here we go again. Happy Hedgehog Day, my legends. I'm out.
Our brother from another mother. That was, again, right in line with everything we were thinking and saying. The two, and really, Abby and Carrie, they've been our two of our strongest supporters through our entire run. So we appreciate you guys being with us during our rewatch for sure. But he's right. The one thing I'll touch on, he is right about Damien Darhk, and it's exactly what we felt about him when he was on Arrow and why that was the worst season of Arrow. Like, his magic is too overpowering. If it can just combat any superhero, no problem. Like, it's just they needed to find a way to better employ what he can do, because really what it's showing us is when he doesn't just outright kill the team because he can, it shows that there's something else going on inside. Like, he either is just plot devicey, or could we add some depth to that character that maybe he isn't as evil as we think he is, which we eventually see that he's not, because he gives everything up to save Nora. So
yeah,
I don't know. Definitely too strong. Magic sucks. Magic is a tough thing to deal with on a TV show or in the superhero world. It's just, I mean, it's the only thing that Superman's susceptible to other than kryptonite, and it just doesn't make any sense. Magic, like, come on, just keep magic out of it. It doesn't need to be here. Keep that for the occult stuff, for the Constantine type shows. Don't bring it into superheroes because it doesn't fit.
Does make things more difficult.
That is it for us, guys, for our feedback. Thank you so much. If you'd like to be part of the show during our rewatch, we got a few episodes left to go. Listen to this.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter @tomorrowslegends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
And then the one thing I forgot to mention too, Abby in her email, she had asked about what happened to the Patreon bonus episode from last week, because she sent in a question and she hadn't seen it yet. And that's totally on me. I have it. I went and edited the show, and then I edited the video show, and I completely forgot about the Patreon episode. So it's just sitting there on the editing timeline. I'll have to get to it and throw that one up there for you guys. So don't worry. It's in the tank waiting to be released. So yeah, completely forgot. It's just, yeah.
So I looked, and y'all did season 2 rewatch right after season 5. So during the pandemic, basically. So yeah.
So
because we had nothing else coming.
Yeah.
So what was the year? The 2020 or 2019?
It's 21 and 20. Hang on, let me flip back over there to that screen. But yeah, it was 20 and 21. The end of 20 and the beginning of 21.
Okay, so, yeah, right in the heart of it. Feels like it was longer ago, but I guess that's almost 3 years.
Yeah. Pandemic counts as multiple.
yeah, totally. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, well, that's good. Good to know. It also feels like you've been with us longer than that, Jeff. Like, I thought you joined us before then, but I guess not.
That's true.
Yeah. Season 6 of Legends.
Yeah. Only the
season
last
2 of Star Girls. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, there you go. I guess we just been such a happy trio. It's felt like a longer time. We're our own Wave Rider crew right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I like that. That was another point I forgot to bring in the pirate episode. It was just cool that the ship was called the Wave Rider, and Blackbeard was like, Wave Rider, eh? He was like, really. He's like, man, that's a good name for a boat. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Alrighty, guys. Well, that is it for us for the next 2 weeks. We've got episode 13 and 14 coming up in 2 weeks' time. So get your rewatches on and get your feedback in. And we'll talk to you guys then. Have a good couple weeks off, guys. This is The Flash signing off.
And this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
This is X-Force 11. So say we all.
Bye, YouTube. we're very rusty on our sign-off timing, guys. We still got 20 seconds left.
Well, I think you restarted it, so.
Yeah, because we didn't sign off when the music ended, so. Shake off the Legends Dross. Here we go. Here's the end.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, HBO, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network. Be sure to check out our partner shows, The Mandalore and Dive into DC, covering your favorite Star Wars and DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening.